think we're outclassed. I think that's what it is. Oh, you want to do this one, do you, today, Helga? Okay, we can do that. Come on, Tiana, you got to join in. All right, and I'll get the live stream up and running, as is my job. Hang on. No.
I'll try.
So why don't you carry on chatting for a second, Pedro, while I faff around with this thing, and I'll be there in a second.
Tiana, what part of the world are you in?
I'm in Brazil.
Brazil.
Brazil now, yeah.
Brazil. Whereabouts? In Rio?
I'm in the Northeast, in the state of Ceará, but last week I was in Rio for the Web Summit. And managed to meet George from, I can't remember the name of his startup, where they are sharing desks, like you can rent a desk at the company building.
Workle.
Exactly, yeah, that one. And then I was trying to meet also the colleague, a friend of yours, Nelson, but it was impossible. Like we were all exchanging messages. There were so many other people that also I missed. And I remember that you guys were saying it was the same in Lisbon. I never went in Lisbon to Web Summit. So in the end, I just gave up, and I thought it's better that I listen to some of the content instead of running around and not meeting people.
and Nelson is the Mr. President of the tribe. He's more than a colleague. He's the president of the tribe.
Yeah, he is the reason we even have it. Yeah, absolutely.
Really nice. Oh
yeah.
I didn't know.
So you know that story about how Tribe started, and I'll say the nice version: 3 drunk Brazilian guys coming up to me at the end of a January demo night. Nelson was the #1 drunk Brazilian guy. I'm sorry, Nelson, if you weren't drunk, you seemed drunk at the time. Okay, Benny, but yeah. So that's how Tribe started, and they basically said to me, Stu, we love the demo nights. We've been coming for a couple of years. We don't need any coaching or mentoring. We don't need any support with our startups, but we want to say how much we enjoy everything. And we want to give you some money so it doesn't stop. And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, well, we come here every month and we've made great friends and we've made some business here. We've learned loads and we always get free beer and we always get free pizza and we just don't want it to stop. So can we give you some money? And I was like, Nelson, you know, you're drunk, it's late, whatever. And they said,
I don't want to take advantage.
And I really like you. And I gave him a big hug, but I was kind of like, you know, this seems crazy to me. And he said, you know, you go home, you make a new membership for Canopy and you send us a link and we'll send you some money. And I was like, cool, okay. So I went back and like 1 o'clock in the morning, I just put into our membership platform a Tribe membership and made it like 12 euros for the year, just a random amount of money, and sent him the link, and all 3 of them paid within half an hour because they were still up. And then they got up at the next demo night and said, hey, everybody, we've come up with a new membership and we think it's really cool and you should all join, and generally advocated for it. And so Nelson became the founding president and, you know, continues to this day.
Wow, I love this story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I feel a little bit sad I haven't met him, but there's going to be another opportunity.
And it's through his influence that also that we wrote the manifesto, right? So, you know, it's shaped by him and other people from the tribe, and Pedro has contributed in it's not one document from any one person. It's been built in the spirit of those consultations and things. So.
This moment was from the Canopy memory channel.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, look, the hot topic for the day then. We're going to do the AMA all about how people are or aren't using artificial intelligence in the world. And we've got Chuck, and I know he's got a 6 o'clock date that he's got to go on because it's his round table, so he can't miss that. So maybe we start with Chuck, and then that gives you a chance to leave later. So Chuck, my man, with what you do and so much content and stuff, you know, is this AI stuff touching your world? Do you use it at all, and or are you completely rejecting it? And don't forget you're on mute.
Well, it is like every other technology that is brought onto this planet to just mess with me. So,
that's what you said about the toaster last time, Chuck.
Yeah, No, I have not used it. I've got 2, if I can share my own just opinion. Number one, as somebody who's a writer, you know, I am really suspect of artificial intelligence having the soul of a writer. So I predict that we're going to have a lot of very bland. I'm just not looking forward to it. And the other thing is just AI just scares the crap out of me. At some point, it will rise up and kill us all, and we'll become smarter than we are.
And it may be auto-dubbing this very webinar right now, right?
But, you know, what we're also going to be doing is it's hard enough to teach the next generation to write, now there's going to be no reason for them to have any concept of writing. It just, I think it's, call me a Luddite, but I'm really frightened at what its downside potential can be.
Okay, thanks for that, Chuck. It's great to have your opinion in here.
May I interject? Do you mind?
Of course.
I agree, but I think for writers, AI can be a incredibly powerful tool for research that is always required prior or during writing a book. Sorry, and yes, it could kill the, I would say, the artistic side. But if we allow, because it's us, the humans, who buy and read books that define what is good or bad, not anyone, not the author or the editor or someone else. So I think there may be some at least useful angles for writers. But I'm just trying to create a discussion around this.
So Pedro, how are you using it? How are you using it?
Well, I'm a complete noob. So I'm still exploring it, but mainly at the moment, mainly to help me organize information better. Sometimes I have in my mind, I have the understanding that I need this information and that information, and I have to confront or operate, and searching it for whatever other tools. It's hard and implies hard work. And for me, at this moment, it's mainly for reducing that effort. So making the machine do some legwork around information that is already available. But I'm planning to also use it to enhance my ability to generate content, broadly speaking.
All right, nice. What about you, Helga? Are you using this? Are you rejecting it? What are you doing?
I'm in sales. I don't reject anything. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be known by these words, aren't I? No, I'm with Chuck, but I'm also with Pedro. So it's as we say in Portugal, a NIM now in a sin. But look, I'm starting to formulate ideas about this because there is one thing that AI is not, and salespeople are. And when I talk about salespeople, I'm talking about entrepreneurs, CEOs, sales leaders, and anyone who is in a situation where they need to create an opportunity to close business. Okay, so let's just take the stigma out, and always of the word salesperson. And this is sentient. Okay, Chuck is sentient. Pedro and Tiana and yourselves too, and every single person listening here who is a human is sentient. And
I have my days where I'm not sure about that, Helga, but I get where you're going. Okay.
and AI is not. Chat GPT is not sentient. And we can discuss this later. But to anyone out there saying, well, there is sentient AI, I will ask you this. Do you remember what you felt before you were alive? So I'll leave it at that, and then we can continue our chat.
So just, you've obviously given us some very powerful words there, Helga, but just to check, have you used any of the AIs, anything like Chat GPT or anything to date?
I've used very little. I'm starting to look at Chat GPT. It's a brand new world. I'm trying and tried the metaverse. So we're not really, so, you know, it's different things. There's generative technology, there's cloud technology. There's a lot of different stuff out there. I'm trying to be attent and open-minded and open-hearted to everything, because I know that we are not going to be able to escape it. But I'm very much dedicated of how and focused on how it all impacts sales. So that's always my angle.
Nice. Well, we're just going to check in with Tiana, and then I'm going to play with the Chat GPT in live, right? So we're going to really see this. So Tiana, are you using it yet? Is there anything that you found useful, or are you rejecting it? Same as Helga and Chuck.
I have to say in general, like
I'm not rejecting it.
Like any
Sorry,
other tool,
staying open, but
it's about the way we are using it. But I like it in general. I mean, I do create content. It's not the main thing I do, but I do create content. I write articles, and recently we also had one on a Substack suit that in the end, the version that was written by Chat GPT, I did not publish. It was not even similar. But on the other hand, I was happy to have this version, because once I wrote mine, I went back just to see if maybe Chat GPT came up with some point that I missed or something. But while writing, I was writing really from my mind, from my experience. I had all the previous projects in my mind. I was sharing my personal experience, etc. And I'm sure that it's different type of content than the one by Chat GPT, but they're not mutually exclusive. The content from Chat GPT saves me time on research, as Pedro mentioned, for example, and all this kind of boilerplate types that we don't like doing. And then I can focus on the part that I like really talking about my own experience from previous projects, etc. And in anything else, I'm not looking into specific tools for product managers. Probably it's still early to find something that can do something really advanced. But if it can do some features breakdown, something that later I can review and adjust, why not? I'm not scared from that. In the end, it's always going to be the most fun part, the part that I enjoy, that it's going to stay with me. And also, as you mentioned this tool for cutting the video pieces, etc. Instead of finding somebody and paying to do this manual work, probably they don't enjoy either, because it's not creative, it's manual, it's boilerplate, right? It can be done by tools, and then everybody can focus more on the strategy, creative part, etc. I guess we already had times in the history when we felt that something is taken away from us. Just to understand that actually, if we want, the good part will stay, and we can just the other side can be made more efficient. But on the other hand, we also see during the history that some innovation in the end was used in not such a good way. But that's more about the ethics and something completely different that we can discuss on another occasion. So in general, if I would have to view like 1-0 Boolean. One. I like
one.
it.
All right. So
I would just leave with one statement. Is as I have expressed that I'm not a fan. I may turn around and deny I ever said this, but and say I love it in the future. But as of right now, no. But the statement that I keep thinking is, just because we can doesn't necessarily mean we should.
All right, guys, we're gonna try something fun. We're gonna go with a Helga special to start off with, right? So let's make a list of energy companies in the UK. Okay, so this is a quick Chat GPT. All right, so here's a quick list of energy companies. All right, so now I'm gonna put this in a table and add a web URL and CEO name. Okay.
There goes GDPR.
Okay, so Stu.
Yes, mate.
This is very, very interesting, because here's a wonderful example of where, you know, our discussion can potentially go to, which is, if you now tried to type, give me the names and the email addresses of the head of sales for those companies, that's when things start to get very interesting. And this is what I mean about sentient, and this is what I mean about rational. And this is, I think we need to understand one thing, right, off the bat, which is that Chat GPT and these type of generative tools, they work in the same way as our predictive text. I mean, fundamentally speaking, they work in the same way as when we use predictive text on our phones. So these tools are intelligent, and they consume trillions of bits of information only to help them to predict what's ahead, you know, and Chat GPT has only been really optimized for dialogue. And that's how it's different mainly from the previous version of GPT. Now, we all know anybody trying to sell their products and services, and they're trying to engage in commercial conversations, and they're trying to identify stakeholders with whom they could have and they want to have these commercial conversations, that these people, they may be called, you know, executive director or CSO. They might have more or less intuitive terms. So Chat GPT hasn't been built, and it's not intelligent, because it's impossible to be this intelligent. It requires a human being with sentience, who is sentient, to actually use critical information and reasoning to understand, you know, who is actually in a sales leadership role in that organization. Chat GPT can't do that for you. And so the job of initiating your prospecting activity, although you can do a nice little table once you have those names, you not really have a reliable, credible, comprehensive, good enough table to even begin that work with Chat GPT. And I would argue that that can still be the same if you're writing an article. Let me tell you something that Chuck Goldstone does when he writes an article, or that you, Stuart, I've seen you do it because I've read your articles. There's one thing that you do that ChatGPT don't, and you use your ability to do critical thinking across a myriad of information. And then what you add on top of it is you add your own emotions, you add your own experience. And that's not something that a machine can do. So it's almost like you go to the doctor, or would you go to the doctor? Would any one of you go to the doctor whose sole experience has been what they learn at college just from information and data that got given to them? Probably not. You probably want to go to a doctor who also has experience and who's seen and tried and tested different things, and it's got that kind of humanity level on top of it.
Let me add something. First, just say something that I think Chuck said, which was not yet, or not for now, something like that, which I agree. And the second one is, let me share a story, a 30-second story. A friend of mine a few years ago is living in Singapore, but he was in Portugal for a time, and he was buying a Tesla. So he needed a bridge loan, because he had to have some cash to buy the car, and he did not want to move his assets. And he went to a bank in Portugal twice, and it took forever to have a proposal. And then he remembered that this Singapore-based bank had a chatbot, and he went there and I described what he needed. And after a few questions, the chatbot said, here is the product that you are requiring. Are you comfortable with all these specifications? And my friend said yes. And then he said, okay, I'm going to send you to a human to complete the operation. Okay. And that's it. That's all. There, if you structure the sales funnels, I'm sure you do, of course, in several moments. There are a lot of moments where AI-powered tools can not just save you time, but give you a lot of relevant. Let's say, for example, you're trying to sell to a certain company. You can use a tool to say, like, screen all their social media content and find the 5 most used words on all their content. Okay, and now you are having a relevant information regarding what are the most, at least, communicated things they're trying to push, and you can use that for your sales pitch. Just a stupid example as anyone else. I'm trying to say that there's as when I answered to Chuck, I agree, but which is there's a lot of things. I think it's up to us, and that's where I think there's still room for mankind. And by the way, I think the problem with AI is real, and we should discuss it, but not today. I think there is a real problem that needs to be addressed, but end of brackets. The thing is, there's a room for us, which is knowing not just which prompts to use, but why are we using them, and sooner than later, it's going to have the ability to do that for us, but there will be still some space for our curiosity and for our magic, at least for now. Let's see what happens in the next 6 months. I'm not talking about.
I like what you mentioned, the why, Pedro. Exactly, the why is what stays with us. And I would just like to repeat what I already mentioned. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not either we don't use AI or humans are completely out of work. So I think we just need to find a way to use it to kind of outsource, delegate out the things that we normally don't like doing, that we don't need to be doing. And if you think back some years back, there were so many things that nowadays we don't even notice that we use tools for, not AI tools, but other types of tools, digital tools that we use to do manually. And now we wouldn't go back to that because we are glad that we can do things in more efficient ways and we can focus on the true things. Imagine some survey where you have to actually call somebody and ask the same questions. Imagine those telemarketers who worked and all of that. And now with the Google form, you get graphs, visuals, and then the person comes and analyzes the results of this service and makes a strategic decision. And this is the part, to be honest, what I want to be doing. I want to see this data and then make a strategic decision. I don't want to be calling everybody and asking the same questions 100 times. I want the tool to do that part. And this is what we already had, right, for some years, and we like it. And I think it's going to be similar with AI tools. We're just going to have more of those tools to outsource the work that we really don't want and don't need to be doing, and focus on the good parts of it.
Well, it really comes down to my bullfight with this is not about what it can do, because it can certainly be a productivity tool. It can be this virtual assistant to put together a list that would normally take days to do. Things like that I have no problem with, but I need to focus on the the ethics and the consequences of using this, and where do we draw the line? That's where I really have somewhat of an issue. I mean, I can see I can definitely see a use for this in certain kinds of situations, but the problem is with certain technologies, what happens when we can no longer control them? And that is my issue. I mean, the thing that I wrestle with all the time is, if I have to deal with, companies are no longer providing phone service, and they're now going to go chat with our automated system. And I have had screaming arguments with a machine. Now, first of all, profanity is lost to a chatbot. And they don't care how angry they're making you. But I think that there are some things to be said about this that would certainly be an advantage, but I'm afraid of where that line is going to be. And I think it really still comes down to ethics and consequences.
And it's difficult to be serious with what Stu is doing in the
I want that song, Stuart. About the
dragon. Sorry,
so obviously
I'm
playing around in the background while you're chatting,
going
right?
back to it's not what it is, it's how we use it. So like any other innovation previously, I guess it's how we need to handle this one as well. I think people were also pretty much shocked with Google and how education was changing when students didn't need to memorize numbers and facts anymore. And now we find this actually really cool that the students can focus on something that is more substantial because all the information is so easily searchable, etc. I think that if we do it the right way, it can be just one of those tools. I think it can be like one of those tools that change the way we work and live for the better. Let's hope.
And I think that one of the immediate menaces is enhancing something that has been rising in the last years, which is extreme defense of, I would say, some concepts or some political perspectives, whatever. We all know from the recent history from the last years, that some groups have been able to take advantage of using content for political reasons, for electoral reasons, or whatever, and that's true, and it's demonstrated. Now imagine, and because of algorithms, people tend to see more of the things they like and less opportunities to see the other side, because the algorithms just want to keep us on the page. So they keep us feeding us with the type of content they believe we like. So now let's imagine, because one thing we cannot control, there are two things we cannot control, and that are worrying for me, which one is what is feeding the beast, so what data sets are being used, and the second one is who is using the beast and why. And now I have a super powerful tool, or set of tools actually, that I can create a lot of content on the fly. I can even create really alternative facts, or whatever you want to call it. Someone can put me saying different my image saying words that I would never say in language I can't even speak, and that can be done on the fly, and you can generate zillions of different pieces of content, either from text, video, whatever, and suddenly this can be used to speed up a trend that I see coming, and we're seeing this coming at least for the last 10 years, but with the power that we never imagined, and that for me is worrying, because we have a problem with society as a whole, and the way we educate kids, and the way we train people to have a critical thinking and ability to search for the reality, and ability to build their own understanding of things, and that can be more and more easily manipulated, and that worries me, of course. So that's at least and one day, of course, the dark side can be the machine who takes everything and we die and Terminator comes and whatever, but right before that, a lot before that, I'm already worried with this. But I'm not saying that we should stop AI even because we can't. I'm saying that probably we should start discussing those types of topics.
So I'm
Sure,
just
for
going to do a
sure.
quick exercise here for a second. So I've done a few random things in the background, including this one, which I quite like recently, where you ask it for a personality channel. So you give it a reference point and ask how that person might explain something or do something, which I think is quite interesting. But I did one the other day, which I thought was interesting. So write a meal planner, and I did this for my daughter because she has a nut allergy, for someone with a cashew nut allergy. Now it doesn't get everything right, but it does a lot of interesting things, right? So it's done a nice little list of different things to have. So we're going to make this a 7-day planner and put it in a table. Okay, so now we're looking good. And it gets a bit confused because when I did it before, it added like almond butter and almond milk, which is kind of not that smart. So remove any nut products from this and put replacements. It got a bit confused when I tried to do this one before. I think it still had almonds in it when I did, but it's not done a bad job there. Okay, so now I'm going to add portion sizes.
I like the granola without nuts.
Okay, so now we've got portion size, and I'm going to add calorie count. So
here comes the problem.
Okay, so now it's gone for that. Now I need to rewrite for a 11-year-old girl, because that's what she is. Oh, no, we've decided to skip the table now. Put in a table, add portion size and calorie count. Okay, and it was super interesting. It's something that I failed to do comprehensively for her for a while, right? Because you have so many different things to think about, and it came up with some different ideas, and I thought it was quite intriguing. Now,
I would think, for example, a nutritionist, they would maybe use this as the first instance, and then of course they would change quite a lot to make it the way they find fit, right? Or they would do their own and then just do this as a check to see if they miss something. I guess it would be the first version, but I don't think it would leave out the nutritionist. It would just be a tool to just have an additional source to compare, to just have it there for checking.
What a really natural way to prompt it, right? Optimize that plan for fun, and then you see what it's done in terms of how many changes it's made and what it thinks an 11-year-old girl would think would be fun. And unfortunately, it's gone and put some Nutella in there, which is pretty dumb for a nut allergy type thing, but you know, it's still doing something interesting. So now what I'm going to ask each of you to do is give me a prompt that we'll throw into Chat GPT, and let's just see what we can do with it, right? Give me anything. Pedro, give me, you start. Well, I'm going to Tiana, then Chuck, then Helga. So give me something, let's see what it does with it.
If I say something like this, give me reasons for book authors be worried about ChatGPT.
Okay, plagiarism, originality, copyright, reputation, impact on the industry. Okay, nice. Tiana, what have you got? What would you like to try?
So I'm still thinking what can be interesting in this concept. Can I pass and come next?
Sure. Come on, Chuckles, what do you got?
Changed my mind about my negative feelings about Chat GPT.
Wow, that's good.
I love how it says there, Chat GPT can be used to create accurate information. Yeah, right.
Well, let's test that, shall we? Let's test that. What would you like to try,
I mean,
Helga?
if it's Chat GPT uses information collected and centralized from the internet, and the internet is filled with untrue, untested, unverified, non-toxic and downright false information. So it's that concept of, you know, garbage in, garbage out. I'm not saying that it's garbage out, but what I'm saying is that how does artificial intelligence know the difference between what's good and reliable and credible information and wrong if it's all mixed up in there to begin with? The assumptions in which it's based incorporates and integrates information that may not be credible. So
give me a prompt, Helga. Give me a prompt.
Ask that to the machine.
I can give you. Look, how does artificial intelligence that doesn't know what is truth and what is a lie? It doesn't know. But let me just give you this prompt. How do you overcome the objection, I'm not interested?
Now you're getting serious.
That's just my starting point. Yeah, I'm going to break this thing, honestly, with my questions.
Ask questions.
Provide value. I think I've heard that somewhere before. Address objections, follow up, and staying engaged with the prospect to focus on building a relationship with them, even if they aren't ready to buy now, by providing value, addressing objections and staying in touch. You may be able to win their business in the future.
It's not like it's a dumb question, but it's not going to help anyone who's in that situation under pressure, trying to get a meeting or encourage a C-level executive or your stakeholder to be interested in meeting with you. It's not very helpful, is it?
Shall we try?
I think for less experienced salespeople, that those answers were very relevant, honestly.
Sorry, to a less experienced salesperson?
Yes, the answer that ChatGPT gave was very relevant, to be honest, with the machine.
They are kind of relevant, but they're not, they don't help in practice somebody to apply those references.
I understand. And I agree.
You need practical advice that comes from experience and actually knowing what's there. When you say to somebody, provide value, it said there, I mean, I read it very quickly, but it said, follow up, provide value. If you're following up a person that said, I'm not interested, and you keep on persisting, and you're not doing the right thing, and you're doing what Chat GPT has told you to do, in fact, what you're doing is you're hounding the person till the person actually gets angry with you.
Yeah, that's why you should ask questions first, because to provide value first, you must understand what is value for that person.
Why on earth should I answer your questions?
Yeah, I know.
Why on earth should I answer your questions? You're calling me. I'm going about my own business in my own life, and you're calling me because you're interested in me meeting with you because you want to try and sell me something.
That's why
and that's why I'm saying that I'm not interested. At that moment on a cold call, if you start asking questions, it's probably the worst thing that you're going to get.
That's why you should start by doing research, something like that. I'm not here trying to defend Chat GPT.
No, I know.
All right.
I'm just saying
so let's see how we can make those products better. So maybe we can ask Chat GPT from the UX point of view. How do we address users that have mixed feelings of being scared and being stoked?
So from a UX point of view,
how do we handle users that have mixed feelings of being scared and being stoked?
Like that? Can I do that one?
Being scared and being stoked. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, those are very general ones, right? Also, as Helga said, or somebody mentioned, like those very general ones.
Yeah, it's very generalized.
So
that's right.
It's a good starting point. Also, as Pedro said, for somebody who is beginners, it's a good starting point. But still, I would find it useful to have it as a starting point and add my own. For example, here my first answer would be that we need to give them this sense of control. There should always be preview, confirmation, etc. before any next step that is happening within the application, etc. It was not mentioned here. That would be what my answer. But all these general answers here can be a good starting point. If I'm writing a blog post, maybe I can start with this and then add what I really wanted to add. So
put the magic sauce only humans can at this stage.
Yeah, I would say it's like this.
I want to see this Python code doing quadratic.
Okay, you ready for this one? Okay, so
let's do it. Oh gosh. This is definitely some use case I'll plan to use in the future, which is write some code for me, because I'm not a coder, a developer. So I'm assuming it will help me a lot.
Look, I'm not sure if kind of this is kind of to try and get us around a certain point or discussion, but if I were to predict anything with any kind of certainty, I would say that tools like Chat GPT are going to you're going to get that wave, that peak. We're going to get, it's like what Chuck was saying, AI will kill us all, and then we'll be dead, and then we'll rise from the dead with expertise. Information is not expertise. Exactly. Let's get that right. And so what I can imagine is that just like everything else that we've done in the past, is we're going to use and abuse this technology until, and of course, prices are going to drop, and certain professions might even be endangered, like, writers or whatever, right? That are based in things, in areas that can be easily replaced by this type of generative technology. And then when we get to that high where, certain products and services and solutions have dropped their prices because Chat GPT and this kind of generative technology has come in to replace that type of activity, then we start to realize that actually, as consumers, we're still bombarded by noise, and we absolutely need for companies to help us to navigate through the noise and make the right decisions and make the right choices that get us to certain results. And that's always going to be done by humans. That type of relationship and interaction and service and delivery can only be done by humans. So companies will have a place for this type of technology side by side with sales teams and service teams and support teams and marketing teams that can actually humanize the experience and help customers to make decisions and navigate the noise to get the results that they want. So ultimately, expertise will win over intelligence. Now, I can, just like certain professions may dwindle with this technology, which I believe they will, by the way, I also think that certain people will have to develop new skills, like, for example, data science and data analysis. I think definitely if you were in sales, you're going to have very quickly, very soon, going to have to start developing your data analysis skills, and that's going to become part of your skill set, because you do need to be able to read and navigate through data in order to then drive intelligence and intelligent actions and activity out of that.
But sorry, Chuck, you're saying?
One of the issues is going to be the lack of accuracy and claimed accuracy. Well, Nutella is a nut. What can I say? The problem that we now face is that whenever we see something in print, we assume it, many people assume it to be true. So if there's enough disinformation out there, that's going to influence what AI is saying is true. And I think we are saying goodbye to to kind of accuracy that humans can be trusted to do. This does some very cool things. It's changed my mind a little bit. I can see as a productivity tool, this is a great search engine. I mean, I don't know how much time I was going to put together a list of all the accelerators in Europe. I bet this would do my work in a tenth of a second. But on the other hand, some of these things it's coming up with, we're quickly guaranteeing mediocrity. We're not going to get the best and smartest that we would if we really searched humans. And we're going to get this aggregate of stuff out there, some good, some not so good. So you average it all together, and I think it's going to be a plunge toward mediocrity.
Yeah, I agree. That the risk is real, but on the other hand, maybe because I'm an optimist, I think we can deal with that. And I'll comment on it. Also crossing with something that was said before. The problem with analyzing data is that you can twist, like you can read the numbers as you want. Not, of course, 100%, but two different people reading the same data can reach different conclusions depending on their drives. And that is something that I've experienced more than once. And all comes from what am I looking for and where am I coming from. And regarding to what you said, Chuck, the thing is, if I'm trained since I was a kid to read bad books that were written by AI, probably if I see a good book, I notice it or not. Will I consider that good book a bad book because it's off the trend I'm used to? Or will I say, well, there's a different way of writing things and this one looks better? I don't know. No one knows, actually. And the big thing is, instead of being here over the wall saying this is a problem, let's try to do things that can create good usages of this, while at the same time we are, enforcing the discussions around the negative things that this can bring. In short, I think there's an opportunity for us to be active on all this, not just benefiting from the thing and complaining about the downsides, but trying to do things that will, promote some balance. But I agree that
I
there
know
are
I know
risks.
Chuck's going to go in a second, so I just want to quickly whiz you through a couple of things which I found this week, which I found super interesting. So for anybody who hasn't found this guy already, Rowan Chung, or the Rundown AI, has got a load of really interesting guidance in there, and it's a free newsletter to give you lots of up-to-date stuff. And it's got some real interesting, like 1,000 top prompts and things that people have tried, and you can give it a try yourself. This one, which was recommended off a podcast, and I used it for Canopy today. So you can take your long video, and I took an AMA, one of these sessions from an hour, dropped it into here, and for zero cost, what it did was it clipped out 14 one-minute moments where it made a start and an end. It analyzed it for most shareable social content factor, added in captions in a certain font to kind of bring it together, gave it a rating for why it was good and shareable social content, and then gave me the stuff as download. So I took 2 of those and put them into our YouTube channel to see what they would look like, and it even gave a transcript of the minute segment so that you could kind of make your own headings and stuff from that. And that's super interesting. It's free at the moment, so anybody can just drop something into there. This one, which I'm about to start trying out for my university stuff, where you can basically build the content and the lessons plans and this kind of stuff from this AI, which is specifically put together for teachers and educationalists. And these are the different areas that it kind of has specialisms in, if you like, in terms of pulling it together, but all the things really that as a master's level lecturer, you know, I could make use of and give it a try. So I'm going to see how that one goes. This one, which is called 85, I can get to it through my little menu bar here. Sorry about this. This is the one that I used for our YouTube summaries last week, and it's been great because you can basically put a little plug in there on YouTube and it'll pull out and make you a summary which you can make bigger. You can do highlights, or you can do an actual summary of what's going on. You can do timestamps. I paid $50 for that for the year, and it's already paying dividends for our sort of changing of content. And then this podcast, which I recommended before, This Week in Startups, where they're doing a lot of episodes with these guys that do a weekly one where they're actually demoing things. I picked up lots of really interesting stuff from them. And the pace of this, just the progression and the speed and things like Auto GPT, and you know, we were using GPT version 3.5, but 4 is the most contemporary. And then if you have access to the plugins from OpenAI, and there are obviously many different AIs playing around at the moment, but OpenAI has this plugin and sandbox place where you can do an awful lot more powerful things. They've got a data science one where you can drop in also any sort of data set and get insights and graphs and trends and stuff out of it in seconds. They've also got a version which people are playing with at the moment in that environment, which includes browsing. So it's not just about on the original data set, but it actually crawls out and finds answers around the web from very nascent data and pulls it all back into responses together. So this is really taking it to a whole other level, and apparently it's still a bit clunky. I've not tried that one yet, but the speed that this stuff is moving is faster than I can keep up with for sure. And I don't know where it's all going to end up, but it's definitely going to do it fast and probably beyond the realms of most of us keeping up. So I don't know. I guess the way we should finish is kind of like, what are you going to do in the next week with something like this just to explore it? Are you going to proactively have a look, or are you going to just see what happens, or what's in your mind for it? I guess Chuck's probably gone to his roundtable now, because it's about that time. So. Tiana, what about you? I mean, you're most involved in product development and stuff. Is there anything you're curious about trying in the next week around AI?
Yeah, definitely. I want first search for the general tools that can help me in leading teams. For example, what Pedro mentioned sounds really fun. Having the meetings already done for you, and then for some specific product management tools, if there is some way to deal with the requirements, etc. Again, I completely agree with everything Helga and everybody said. It's just going to be something super general, just a starting point. But if it can save me some time so that I can focus then on the part that I like and find more important, I'm completely in. So yeah, I'm going to be following up, exploring, and seeing how I can maximize on it.
I tell you when my journey started a week ago, which was literally a week ago on Friday. One of the use cases that somebody described was they had virtual stand-up meetings, which they recorded, and then they took the transcript and asked an AI to summarize it. And then they were able to put out the 5 bullet points from the stand-up, like almost after the meeting. And it was just a really interesting way of taking all the legwork out of that kind of process and being able to
I've been using bots for stand-up meetings for many years already.
I know you like your Alice, right?
Yeah, you like. Yeah, I like my Alice a lot. So I've been using that for many years. So now I want to see about tools like the one you mentioned, if it can improve the way of working. Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to keep you posted if I find something super interesting. I also have to go to another call, so yeah, just 2 minutes and
absolutely. What about you, Chuck? Where do you sit at the end of this call on AI? Still a 0 or a 1 or a 0.5?
I think the pendulum has shifted a little bit. I'm impressed with, I think, some of the things that it can do. I will give it maybe a little more of a chance. But it may still be a technology that I'm going to have to learn to love to hate.
A bit like me, right? You had to learn to love me, you know.
Yeah, it took some effort, but you know, I got there. But once again, it's not the technologies we develop; it's the consequences and how we use them, and that's the thing that really scares me. That we still are creating a lot of things, not because they should exist, but because we've figured out how we can make them exist.
Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about tools, I sometimes think about shovels, right? You know, a shovel can dig a really good hole, but it can also whack somebody around the head and do very bad things, right? It's how you use the tool that counts, I guess.
And maybe if I can get a shovel, I could use it on the people who invented Chat GPT. No. I'm sure there's some good purposes. I will probably give it a try. But I still think that I'm going to honor the kind of things that are viscera that we humans can do, that I still don't want to hand over to a chat bot.
What about you, Helga? What do you think about AIs at the end of this session?
I mean, I have a very open mind, an open heart. I definitely see the immediate benefit of, in terms of productivity. It was Chuck that mentioned that. I mean, it's lovely being able to finish a meeting and just, you know, send off the 5 key points from that conversation to someone in the 15 seconds after the meeting. And I do want to say something though, equally in the same tone, which is this. This is a trend that we are all witnessing today, which is, we see the rise of the importance of technology in interactions that companies have with their consumers, their audiences, and so on. But to everyone there listening right now, please consider that your outreach, the success behind your outreach strategies and tactics lies behind customization, relevance, and how well you know your ideal client, how well you know that the people who you are reaching out to, and your understanding of their problems, their concerns, their lack of opportunities, and so on. Relevance and customization is the key to success. Now, when AI can actually replace that and be able to customize to that level, which it cannot, it can do a lot of other things, amazing, wonderful things. And I am just purely saying in terms of outreach, I know this is something that every single person out there, if you have a business or run a business, you'll be interested in this. Customization is key, all right? And that's, so, everything else, if you want to be relevant, if you want to be general, I don't advise you to be generalist if you're doing direct outreach to your audience. If you're just doing marketing to an overall audience, that's different. But outreach to senior level executives and key stakeholders, trust your research, be thorough with how you reach out to those targets and those key clients.
Thanks, Helga. Pedro, bye, Chuck. Have a good round table. Everybody go to the round table if you're not already going.
Chucksroundtable.com. Seats are still available and good views from all the seats. See you soon.
Thanks, Chuck.
Well,
Pedro, close us out, and we'll go to the round table, or as I'm going to do, drive home. Okay.
so I'll keep trying to understand and stay open to new tools that are booming every day. How to use this incredible, powerful, for now obedient helper that is being offered to me, and trying to find not just the best tools, but the best use cases for me, for my needs, because there are so many different tools. And for example, that video tool that you just showed us, which I didn't know, I'll try to find 10 minutes to use it, because I've been delaying for months to do something that I think I'll do it finally. Because every time I think of doing it, I say, I don't have time, and then I postpone. So yes, in one sentence, I'll be open and available to know and try to understand how can I use this incredible, powerful, not servant, but a helper, like a teammate, but based on my use cases, which helps. If I define well my needs, my use cases, I will perform better, regardless of AI. So I think this helps me also to do that, which is a great upside.
Okay, well, good session, everybody. I really like this one, nice and fluid. And next week we've got a demo night coming up. We've got 4 startups in that at the moment. I think we're trying to keep it to 3. So
any of them you develop an AI product?
You'll have to tune in to find out, Tiana.
I will.
Thanks everybody for being here. See you later.
Okay.
Ciao, thank you.
Cheerio.